even though we had our issues at LA High, I was able to avoid all that. A, because I know my dad didn't play that. Two, I just knew that seeing some of my friends go to jail and have juvenile probation officers coming and checking on them in school, it's like, man, I didn't want any part of that. So I just immersed myself in ROTC all 4 years, and I just thank God for that, because that really, I think, kept me out of trouble.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Black and Blue Podcast. My name is Dale. I'm the host. And please help me welcome in my man from Rialto PD, Lamont Quarker.
Appreciate you, Dale. Thanks for having me on, man.
You got it, man. So how's your day shaping out?
You know, so far so good. We're in the midst of this whole COVID quarantine, so kids are home. Wife and I are kind of losing our minds trying to figure out fifth grade fractions and math.
Yep.
But we everything is going good. We're blessed that nobody in my family is sick. No real impact other than just staying home and enjoying time with each other. So I know it's a scary time for a lot of people out there, and we're just trying to get through it like everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys got any special measures going on with the COVID stuff going on?
Yeah, so we've kind of changed the way we respond to certain calls. A lot of our dispatchers are asking, actually all of our dispatchers are asking certain questions when folks call in for some sort of police response, just to see if there's any risk of the person's inside the home being either having been exposed to COVID-19 or experiencing any type of symptoms. So they'll ask a wider range of questions as far as people traveling outside the United States to affected areas. Does anyone in the home have a cough, fever, those type things that the CDC has put out as some of the common symptoms. And we've asked, when possible, if those people who are requesting police response, depending on the nature of the call, if they can meet our officers outdoors. Of course, the nature of the business, though, there's times where that's just not possible, and our officers got to take the protective measures by departments provided us with some personal protection equipment, face masks, things like that, and we just got to go in and do what we got to do. But so far, so good. Knock on wood, knowing that my department has been diagnosed yet with having any type of symptoms. There's been a couple departments around us who've been affected, but so far, so good.
All right.
Over at Rialto.
Okay, so Rialto, for the people that don't know, where's Rialto?
So we're about 60 miles east of Los Angeles. We're wedged right between San Bernardino and the city of Fontana. If people who aren't familiar, just basically where, if you can picture Los Angeles and Palm Springs, and then right in the middle is Rialto, right off the 10 freeway. So small town, but we're growing, we're exploding. We have a area right off the 210 that has just really grown in the years that I've been there, called our Renaissance Marketplace, where we have this brand new state-of-the-art theater. I mean, it's really growing. So I'm just blessed to be a part of see this whole transformation that Rialto's going through.
How long you been with Rialto?
So this is my 16th year.
Oh, wow.
Scared to even say that. Yeah, 16 years. Yeah.
And now now you're a sergeant, correct? Right? You're a sergeant now?
Yes. I'm a brand new sergeant, just promoted to sergeant last year. So
Congrats.
Still kind of getting used to that, but thank you. Thank you.
And so you work in a patrol team, or?
I do. So right now I'm assigned to weekend patrol, where most new people go. Yep. Whether you're new, fresh out of the academy, or newly promoted, you're recycled back to patrol. You usually get the shift that is not as popular, and right now it's weekends. But I'm real blessed to work on that team because I have a bunch of new, younger guys who are eager just to learn and go out and just do all the things that all of us wanted to do when we first started, just go out and do the best we can to serve our community. So it's they keep me on my toes because, again, they're young, they're eager, and they like to go out and work. So they're just to guide them along and make sure they just do things the right way.
Okay. So before Sergeant, what else have you done with Rialto? Okay.
So like most officers, started off in patrol division. From there, I was able to go to narcotics for a couple of years. From narcotics, came back out to patrol, and I did FTO for field training officer for many, many years, about 4 or 5 years. I promoted to corporal, stayed in patrol, and was eventually selected to go back to our detective bureau where I worked, the robbery homicide desk. During about 11 years of my 16 overall years, I was assigned to our SWAT team. When I first got on our SWAT team, Rialto actually had our own SWAT team, but we actually joined, we created a regional team with the cities of Colton and Fontana, and we are now called the Inland Valley SWAT team. When I promoted to sergeant, I came off the team because most sergeants who are on the team are team leaders, and there were no team leader positions available. So I just didn't feel right staying on as a sergeant and holding like a operator position when we have a lot of younger guys who are eager, ready to come on and learn. So I just felt I just need to take a step back until a team leader position opens up to allow a younger guy to come in and learn some of the skill sets I've been able to pick up during my 11 years. So definitely enjoyed it. It broke my heart to come off. My wife is giving me the evil eye right now because she needed a break from all the being on call for detectives and being on call for SWAT. So it helped a lot with the family life, not to be on call so much, but I definitely miss the team, miss going out and doing that stuff. But and then once I promoted to sergeant, I came back out to patrol. So been lucky to work a variety of assignments, everything except for really gangs. I've pretty much done it.
Now, are there gangs in Rialto?
So, I think it's like any other community here in the IE. It's not as bad as when I first started. When I first started back in 2003, Rialto, we had a lot of gang violence. Now, through just efforts of the community saying enough is enough, and a dedicated members of our gang team, our SCAT team known as Street Crime Attack Team, they really between like 2005 to 2010, they just really went out and hit it hard and got those who were responsible for, these killings that we had, these dope deals that we had going on, and just really address those issues. And we're able to bring in the community who really bought into this idea of community-oriented policing. So once everyone kind of got on board and got on the same page, we were able to effectively address the problems because, arrests are great, and sometimes that's the last resort, but you can't arrest your way out of most problems. You really can't. So once the community got involved and they said, enough is enough, we started getting the folks who traditionally wouldn't talk to the police or offer information. They felt comfortable enough to come forward and testify and provide us with information so we can deal with the problems that were affecting them in their community. Because ultimately, some of them, just because you happen to live in the ghetto or grow up in the ghetto like I did, grew up in South Central LA, didn't mean I was a gang member or anything like that. It's just where my parents could afford to live, and the things that were going on, affected me too. And I was just trying to do the right thing. And just because of the environment that I was in, it is very easy to either get sucked up into that gang life, sucked up into that dope dealing life, or get caught up in between, say, some sort of rival gang issue. And we've had incidents where we've had, at least for me personally growing up, where innocent bystanders have been shot and killed. And it's just one of those things to where your environment, if you're part of that community, you got to get involved to help the police solve these issues. So.
Absolutely. So you say you grew up in what's now called South LA, not South Central anymore.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I grew up right near Arlington and 36. I'm a Los Angeles high school graduate, which is actually not in South LA, but that's the school that was closer to my grandmother's house, because the high school that was in my area, which was Dorsey High, was a little bit more violent than LA High. So we made, or I should say my family made a decision to send me to LA High with my cousins. And I was blessed enough to, even though we had our issues at LA High, I was able to avoid all that. A, because I know my dad didn't play that. Two, I just knew that seeing some of my friends go to jail and have juvenile probation officers coming and checking on them in school, it's like, man, I didn't want any part of that. So I just immersed myself in ROTC all 4 years, and I just thank God for that, because that really, I think, kept me out of trouble and kept me away from that gang lifestyle when I had my own family members getting involved in that. And it's very easy to say, well, you know, I'm just hanging with my cousin, but my cousin's hanging out with that element. Now it's too easy to get drawn into that. So I just buried my head in ROTC, and it just kept me out of trouble.
Right. So ROTC, did you serve after high school, or what'd you do after high school with that?
So I did not. I was going to join the Marine Corps through the delayed entry program. And, you know, just in talking to some of my family members, they really pushed me to go to college first. They said, look, there's nothing wrong with going and serving. As a matter of fact, if you go in and serve, they'll help you pay for your college. But if you can go and get your degree first and then go in as an officer, that's what you should do. So, you know, I heeded my uncle's advice. He served in the Navy, and I ended up enrolling in one of the local community colleges, Rio Hondo. And that is actually what started my journey from, because I was committed. My life was, I'm going to go to the Marine Corps, and that's what I'm going to do. But once I got to Rio Hondo and saw their police academy that they had up there, and just my life took a little detour. So I did not, when it was all said and done, I did not end up going to the military.
All right. Yeah, so I was going to ask you what brought you to law enforcement. So we'll talk about that up at Rio Hondo.
Absolutely. So I was up there pursuing my associates, and
originally
I wasn't. I was undeclared. So
okay.
I ended up going with a real close friend of mine, and he went into criminal justice. So at that same time, I actually was lucky enough to get a job with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as a security officer. Basically, the ones where you go into the court, we're the ones who check for weapons and do that type of thing. So I was working there, and that's what really kind of opened my eyes to law enforcement, because we worked side by side with a lot of deputies. But even then, I really wasn't committed to saying, you know, that's what I want to do. So, like I said, I was there up at Rio Hondo with one of my friends. His major was criminal justice, and he said, you know, this is a really easy major, man. I'm telling you, some of the stuff that we're doing is easy. Just jump on in. And A, it was not easy, but B, I jumped in with him at his advice, and I started to enjoy it. And one of the assignments, I had to go on a ride along. So I went on a ride along out of the Pico Rivera station with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And, you know, again, growing up where I grew up, I had this preconceived notion of what I thought police were. I had some really, really good experiences with police. I mean, great experiences, and then not so great experiences. I was not one of these ones by any stretch to say I hated the police, because I didn't. I just know that I had some experiences that were not positive with police. But after going on this ride along with this deputy and talking to him, that just was the moment where I hear it all the time, where police, they're just like us. And in talking to him for the 10 hours I was with him, that man he really just opened my eyes to the different side of law enforcement. And he really treated everybody with dignity and respect that he came into contact with. Everyone seemed to know him by his first name. I mean, he was loved in the community that he served. And I just knew, man, I want to be a part of this right here. He told me about his upbringing. He grew up in East LA, and he talked about losing his brother to gang violence. And he talked about how easy it was for him to be jaded and say, you know, I'm going to go in that lifestyle and, you know, not be a part of making my community better, and the police don't care. He easily could have fallen into that trap, but he says, no, I'm going to go out and do what I can to make a difference in the community I serve and where I grew up. And that's what he did. And I just said, man, I got to be a part of something like this. And that's what really turned me on to it. And he told me, did you know that you actually have a police academy up there at Rio Hondo? I said, you know, I see some guys running around, hooping and hollering and doing push-ups, but I just never really knew what they were doing. And I looked into it, and in 2003, I joined the police academy, and the rest is history. So.
The rest is history. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you go in by yourself, or was Rialto the one who sent you through?
Yeah. So I actually started, like I said, with LA County Sheriff's, but prior to that, I was a cadet at the Rialto Police Department, working out the front counter, just doing, just counter reports and things like that. So when I showed my interest in going to the police academy, I reached out to Rialto PD, and they just happened to be hiring at the time. I told them I was enrolled in school, and I was blessed enough that they picked me up and they sponsored me and put me through the academy.
All right. That's it. See, God works in mysterious ways, right?
He does. He does. Everything worked out. Everything worked out. My wife, who I actually met working at the sheriff's department in LA, she really, really pushed me. She's like, look, not taking it away from anyone who decides to make a career of the security route, because it is definitely an honorable profession. You definitely can make a career out of that. But she, when I spoke to her and I told her I said, I'm thinking about going to the police academy or maybe trying to be a deputy sheriff and so on and so forth. The thing is about being a deputy sheriff, I don't want to work in the jails though. I did a jail tour and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can work in here. I just knew that environment was not for me. God bless all the correctional officers out there, because it takes a special man or woman to do that job. And I just knew, man, I cannot do that. But my wife says, you don't have to stick with the sheriff's department and become deputy. Go broaden your horizons. There's a lot of departments out there who are looking for people. So she pushed me, and she didn't let me get comfortable with it. And once I was like, I think I'm good here doing what I'm doing. She's like, no, you need to excel. Keep doing more. You want to go to the police academy, go to the police academy. So, all
right. Is she in law enforcement?
She is not. She was going to go. Unfortunately, she ended up getting rear-ended at a stop sign about 6 months after we started dating, and it just really messed up her back really bad. So she knew that she couldn't do it. So she ended up going and becoming a nurse, still serving people. But I know there are times where she looks back as, man, I wish I could have done, but she just knew. She was like, I'm not trying to have some permanent injury that I'm not going to be able to recover from, when I know people in that field are really dependent on you to be physically fit. And she just made the right decision for her and, for everyone she would potentially be working with.
Yeah. I mean, I give props to all the nurses and ER people and all that out there now, especially in this time. Yeah. So yeah. Love that. Props to her. So how big is Rialto, the city, and how big is the department?
So the last census that we had was in 2010, and it had us at right about 99,000. I know we are well beyond that now. Like I said, we our city government, they are pushing forward with expanding our businesses, our residents. We have all these new communities that are coming up. There's certain county areas like the Lido Creek corridor that we are looking at annexing. So, I mean, the city, I wouldn't be surprised when the 2020 census is all said and done if we're up past 120,000. Again, that's just, Lamont's own little guesstimation. But again, I know we're well beyond 99,000 for sure.
You're not going out door to door. You're not going out door to door knocking and taking census, are you?
No, not at all. But I just know that we've grown with all the different communities that we've had sprout up in the past couple of years. But as far as our department goes, right now we're right about 110 officers sworn. Our chief is, because again, he knows our city is growing, our business is growing. With more businesses that come in, there's more issues that come along with that, and we need folks available to police that. So he is pushing for 130 sworn. I know we'll get there. Our hiring sergeant right now, he's on the grind. He calls up different departments trying to steal laterals here and there. He has no shame. He's trying to get some people over, and for people who are looking to leave and just do something different. We've had officers who've got 12 years on at other departments who just said they just needed a change. They just needed a change of scenery, and we've gotten some really great talent who's come over. So like I said, for us, really exciting time right now. Of course, the struggle's real, as people in recruiting know, because you guys are all looking for the same candidate from the same pool.
Yes.
And
same
it's
problem
hard.
everywhere. Same problem everywhere right now.
Yes, it's hard. So with social media and a lot of things that we are kind of do to kind of innovate our process, it's paying off. We're getting some really, really good candidates. So this is an exciting time for our department, and I'm just, like I said, just glad to be a part of it. We're not stagnant at all. It's definitely moving forward. So
yeah, all right. What's the demographic breakdown of Rialto and the police department?
So I will look at, again, just I try not to go so much off of what the census says, because I just go off of what my personal experience. I will say that I do believe our city is probably still predominantly white or Caucasian. However, we have a very large Hispanic population. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if when this 2020 census is done, if that is the majority in our community. But we also have a pretty large Black community. So I would say probably, again, just if I had to guess, probably predominantly white or Caucasian, by a little Hispanic, Black, and then you have, we have our other races, Asian. We have a couple Native Americans in our community. So as far as our department goes, we do have a lot of Hispanic officers, which is great for us because we do have a lot of folks who live in our city where English is not their first language. And a lot of times people are reluctant to reach out to talk to the police because of the mistrust of wherever it was that they came from before they migrated here. But having, I think, the Hispanic population within our police department makes it a lot more easier to kind of bridge that gap to say, look, we're here for you. If you are a victim of a crime, you need to reach out to us because we've all seen some of the stories in some of the larger cities where the migrant community is so afraid to reach out to police because of fears of deportation and all these other things where that's not what we're about in Rialto. But if you're a victim of a crime, we are here to serve and help you, period. End of story. So, and then we do have, as far as the breakdown, as far as the demographics within the department, again, plenty of Black officers who were there. We have one of our lieutenants, he's a Black man. Two of our sergeants are Black. Black corporals, lots of Black officers in all different divisions, from detectives to school resource officers and patrol. So I would say that the reflection of our department and our community is, and we can always do better as far as diversity goes. However, I think we are definitely on the right track. And it definitely helps when you're dealing with the minority population in your city to reach out. And I've learned that sometimes when I look like the person I'm dealing with, they're a lot more willing to speak to me, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah,
that's just how it is. So
yeah, all
definitely
right.
in the right track.
And how's the recruiting in that area too?
So Sergeant Morales, he has really broadened our horizons on how we're going to recruit, and like a lot of the larger departments who are just harnessing that power of social media, he is all about just reaching out via all social media platforms that we have, Instagram being our largest followership that we have. But he goes out to our local colleges. He goes out to the football practice when they were going on to football practices at Cal State San Bernardino or UCR, and he's reaching out to just anywhere and everywhere that he can to try and get the best candidate he has. Taking the drive down to Camp Pendleton, taking some of the folks who were Marines, taking them down there with us, because it's best to have someone who served, who can, again, just give it to someone who was in their shoes previously straight. Like, hey, this is what it is. This is what, you can expect. It's coming out of the Marine Corps into police work. So he's really trying to, like I said, just broaden our horizon and cast a really wide net to just get the best person for the positions that we have available, both sworn and non-sworn.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, you've been in Rialto for how long? 12 years ago?
This is my 16.
16. Sorry about
16,
that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Your family, you're married and how many kids or any kids?
So, yeah. So I got a little 11-year-old girl, going on 20. And then I got my son, he's 6. Very, very blessed to have them. But my wife, even though nurse by trade, she does just bare minimum hours so that she can be primarily a stay-at-home mom, which is a blessing for us because of the crazy schedule that we have, to where when I'm off, we don't have this situation to where we need to worry about, okay, you got to go to work this day and I got to work this day. Who's going to watch our kids? We don't have any of those issues. We are, able to live within our means to where when I'm off, we're all together. And again, me working weekends right now, a lot of times the only time I get to spend with the kids are during the week. And it's for us, it works. A lot of people don't really, they're not really able to, understand kind of the way we do things as far as trying to dedicate her to be a stay-at-home mom, but for us, it works. And I'm just blessed that we have this situation because, again, it allows me to spend the maximum amount of time with all three of them instead of, okay, I'm home with the kids, mom's gone to work, or vice versa. So it works for us.
I kind of had that situation when my kids were younger. You know, sometimes when I was working patrol, I would come in and then the wife would, you know, leave, and then vice versa. You know, if I was working nights and, you know, she was working days, you know, I come in, she's leaving, and yeah. And, you know, not knocking anybody who's in that situation. It's just for us, we knew that if we can make it work, let's do it. Yep. And we were just able to change our lifestyle to where we were able to make it work. Yeah. It's working for us. Yeah. It sounds like you got it, man. Sounds like you got it.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, your kids are young, so that's basically what you're doing on your off time. And what else you guys like to do, or you like to do when you're off?
So our kids are, we call them Disney kids because they dragged us to get them some season passes for Disneyland. So,
which is now closed, unfortunately.
Which is now closed.
Yeah.
It is. So they are definitely going through their withdrawals. But when that wasn't closed, we would do that a couple times a month at least. When the kids are at school during the week, that's when it's, you know, me and mama time. We're home alone. So my wife really enjoys going out and to the shooting range. So we do that a couple times a month. And then we are real big on just traveling when I have time off, be it just try to see new places. We, at the same time, I say that, but at the same time, for the first couple years of our marriage, we were just creatures of habit. And every year we talked about, man, we're going to go someplace different. But we always found ourselves right back in Maui, sitting on Kanapali Beach, which is where we honeymooned. And every year we're going to try something else. We're going to try something, and we ended up right back. Yeah. So last year we finally were able to go to Turks and Caicos, which is the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my life, and great people, very friendly people. So that's our thing now. We've dedicated to when it's summer vacation time, we're going to go someplace different, just so my kids can experience the world, and it'll hopefully motivate them to want to do better in life so that they can continue doing that. You know, my parents, they couldn't afford to travel like that. You know, we went to Alabama every year for summer to visit family, but we didn't really leave the country or anything like that. So being able to provide my kids with this opportunity to see the world and experience different things, that's for me, hopefully going to be a really good driving, motivating force for them to say, man, I got to make sure I do right so I can continue doing these things.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask you if you bring the kids with you. You know,
we do
romantic venues, but you still bring them, huh?
we bring our kids. So last year, it was actually last year. So our kids, we had kids for 10 years of our marriage, right? So last year, one of my partners got married down in Mexico. That was the first vacation my wife and I took without the kids, and it was, you know, for the first day or so, my wife was just, thank God for FaceTime. She's, let me call the kids. Let me check on the kids. I'm like, hey, the kids are fine. They're with my mom. My mom weighs 4 of us. They'll be all right. But once she kind of got settled, and it was beautiful. It worked out real nice. So, but for the most part, we do take the kids with us on our long trips.
Yeah, I'm in the same situation. My kids are older now. They're teenagers. One's about to graduate high school. And then we would still take them everywhere. And, you know, right now we're thinking about taking, you know, we do little things like go to Vegas by ourselves, but we've never done anything outside the country without them. So we're thinking about that now. Her mom, my mother-in-law, you know, she's always, you know, leave the kids and I'll take care of them. You guys take off. But, you know, we just haven't done it.
Yeah, it's important. Like my mother, she lives in Las Vegas. So a lot of times we shoot up there for a couple days, and for a day or two, we'll leave the kids with my mom, so the little ones can play with their cousins and whatnot. And me and wifey can just do our own thing. But for us, now that they're kind of getting a lot older, we're going to try to do that a lot more. I know there's no way we'll be able to go out of the country with them right now without taking them, because my daughter, she will guilt trip us till no end. So we know that's not going to happen, but just little trips here and there that we could try to do, we're going to try to do that more, because when we were down in Mexico, it really helps you, you know, fall in love all over again when you don't have the stresses of the kids and it's just you and her. And it was, especially there, seeing someone else get married, it just kind of takes me and my wife back to 2007 when we got married. It's just like, wow, man, just to see someone else building and starting their life together. Just kind of puts everything back in their perspective when you don't have those stresses of life or work or the kids. So it's definitely good. Highly recommend for any couples out there. You gotta get away. Just you and your significant other.
All right. So what are your experiences, being an African American male in this profession in law enforcement? I know right now we got a lot of stuff on social media and the news about, African Americans' dealings with the police. What's your experience?
Absolutely. I think overall the support or lack of, it just ebbs and flows in law enforcement. When I first started in 2003, we were right off the heels of what happened in New York with 9/11, and support for law enforcement, at least in my experience, was like at an all-time high. As my career kind of progressed with some of the high profile, I want to say high profile, low frequency incidents that we've had, experiences that have been highlighted on the news, I guess showcasing or highlighting the mistrust of African American community in the police, that has changed. So there was a time there where you couldn't go to a call without someone saying, "Oh, what are you going to do? Shoot me in the back," and this and that. And it just, a lot of times I sat there because a lot of times it was coming from members of my community, and it was just so heartbreaking for me to know that, the mistrust is there, it's real, and we have to start by acknowledging that. But at the same time, I know the men and women that I work with, I've never experienced anything but professionalism and the utmost respect from all of these people that I work with towards all members of the community. So for me, as I became a little bit more of a senior officer and I was able to kind of speak up a little bit more, I would pull people aside and say, "Look, man, when you are here, just right when one of my white partners stopped you for speeding or running a stop sign, and the first thing out your mouth is, 'Oh, you're stopping me because I'm black,' that completely diminishes anyone's legitimate concern of someone who's out being legitimately racially profiled, which does happen. I think anyone who says that it doesn't happen is living in a fantasy land. But I think it happens. So that is definitely not the minority and not the majority, the exception and not the rule. So if you have people out there who are making those legitimate complaints like that, and you have someone who's making just a bogus complaint saying that, it completely takes away from this man or woman who may be truly experiencing some sort of racial profiling or something like that. So I would try to pull people aside and say, "Dude, stop. It's all about personal responsibility and accountability. Had nothing to do with you running the stop sign, right? Had nothing to do with you doing 90 in this residential neighborhood. No, this officer pegged you because you were black." So sometimes that was just really frustrating. But some of the positives or the flip side of that is, a lot of times if we have a contentious incident or someone who traditionally is adversarial with police and they may be black or even Hispanic, and you have a black or Hispanic officer who shows up on scene, a lot of times just by having either a black officer there or black supervisor there, it just kind of eases the tension a little bit. At least that's been my experience. And I try to tell the folks in my squad or during roll call, it's nothing personal. It just, sometimes there's this systemic mistrust that some folks have grown up with about not trusting police. So sometimes it takes a black officer to deal with maybe, a black family who may have an adversarial relationship with police, or a Hispanic officer to deal with a Hispanic family. And I kind of put it to them like this. Sometimes it all just comes down to comfort. If you have a female who is a victim of some horrendous crime, a lot of times you're not going to want to talk to a male officer. So you bring in that female officer to kind of alleviate and get to the end goal of finding out exactly what happened, so that we can get her justice or whatever the case may be. So for me, it's again, it just ebbs and flows. There's some times where I'm glad I'm there to be able to try to just dispel any misconception of, oh, the officers are doing this or that because I'm black. It's like, especially now being a supervisor, it's like, look, if you think I'm gonna allow any of that to go on, you're crazy. Stop it. And a lot of times, especially some of the older members of our black community, when they see a black supervisor show up, a lot of times they're like, "Oh man, I didn't know they allowed you guys to have stripes and stuff like that." And again, that's just going to their experiences of, like, my grandfather growing up down south. some of the stories he told me, yeah, it's just unbelievable. And a lot of times just showing up on scene and just not even having to take over the call, but just being there kind of helps simmer things down if it happens to be a contentious type call. So.
I remember years ago when I was on a major narcs team, we would be everywhere because it was a majors team. We'd be at the border in Mexico one minute and then in LA or all the way up to Fresno the next minute. But we hit this one house and it was a African American family's house, and we had one of our I think it was one of our white officers or Hispanic officers trying to talk to the guy, just let him know, hey, we need to go in and do whatever we need to do. And they were going back and forth. And I was in the back somewhere, and I came up, and I just said, hey, brother, we just need to do this. We'll do our thing. We'll get out the way. All right, sir, come on in. They were like, what?
And,
I mean, like, it's just comfort. It's just comfort like that.
Absolutely. And sometimes, I tell my folks, it's nothing personal. It's just it is what it is. And if it gets us the end goal of either getting in the house or getting in the car or getting the information we need, then
making sure everyone's safe.
Exactly. That's what we have to do.
On all sides.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So, I was going to ask you about, positive interactions you've had in the community, just being African-American. You basically answered that, just coming up on calls, and sometimes that calms the situation down. That's what, being a reflection of our community is all about. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, if I go to a house party that, I can vividly remember one where a gang member from LA was killed in Los Angeles, but his mother lived in Rialto. So they were having a repast, which somehow turned into this huge party, basically. And neighbors were calling it, right? I mean, it was 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it was out of control. So the police go there even before I get on scene, and they're trying to talk to the folks, and no one's even coming outside to talk to the police. So finally, one of the officers calls me up and says, hey, the music is blaring, no one's coming out. We really don't want to force this issue, but at the same time, our neighbors are calling. We need to address this. Hey, no worries, let me roll out there. So I roll out, and just as I'm rolling on scene, the mother, or the homeowner, she comes out, and she's just immediately, she goes off. And just, we can't even mourn the loss of, I believe it was her nephew or something, without you guys coming and bothering us, and so on and so forth. And I just rolled up. I'm like, hold on, ma'am, slow your roll. Can I talk to you over here to the side? And just pulling her aside and just saying, look, it's not us. We're not the fun police. We don't go around policing a bunch of parties. If we come out when we get the call. Your neighbors are calling. I think that maybe if you would have talked to your neighbors beforehand and said, this is what's going on, they may not have called us, but it is what it is. We're here now. If you could just please work with me, because we got other things we got to do. We don't want to come out here and shut your party down. We want you guys to be able to mourn, but at the same time, we want your neighbors to be able to get a good night's sleep. So if you could just please work with me, and I promise you, if the music isn't loud and folks are just calling the call, I'll roll back out, and we have a city ordinance that talks about over 50 feet, so on and so forth. I said, if you're not in violation of the ordinance, I'm not even going to bother you. We're going to be on our way. Can you work with me a little bit on that? And just coming at her kind of like that and talking to her, and then that turned into telling me what happened, and it turned out we went to the same high school, and just the relationships and being able to relate to her, and she's able to relate to me, just something as small as growing up in the same community, instant compliance without us having to take that enforcement action. It was just getting that voluntary compliance because of that relationship building. Sometimes that's what it takes. That's what it takes. 5 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of it is just demeanor, the way you talk to people. A lot of times.
Absolutely.
So give and take.
Absolutely.
Just relating to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So not always positive, because again, you have those other ones who just no
matter what you do.
Yeah. And it is what it is. But for the most part, it's been a really, really, really good positive experience. That the more your department is a reflection of your community, I think it's going to be easier to build that relationship.
Yeah. And nowadays, the big hot topic is de-escalation. De-escalation. Yeah. How is your department on the training and the tactics as far as de-escalation?
So all of our training, we have a contract with our local sheriff's department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and they're renowned in the country for one of the finest training places in the country. So they're really big on really, really, really focusing on taking certain steps in order to try and de-escalate a situation before it leads to having to use force or whatever the case may be. Just something as simple as what I tell my guys on my squad is like, look, sometimes people just need to vent. When you roll out to a call, and as much as this person, I'm taking them into custody for whatever the case may be, or I absolutely have to take enforcement action, as long as it doesn't compromise your safety or the safety of other people who are there, man, sometimes just let them vent. People, someone told me a while ago, where there's weigh-in, there's buy-in type thing. If you allow someone to just voice their opinion and not just humor them, but really hear them out, hear their point of view on something, a lot of times, if they feel that you truly heard them out, and even if at the end of the day, the decision you're going to make isn't the decision they want, a lot of times they're going to be okay with it just because they felt that you heard them out. So I think just sometimes we in law enforcement come in and we do a lot of talking and we try to, I'm here to solve your problem before I even know really what your problem is. So just hearing folks out, letting them vent, giving them that 5 extra minutes to just vent, as long as it doesn't compromise safety. My advice I always tell my folks, just give it to them, let them have it, because a lot of times, okay, I've heard what you said, however, or, and making sure that you've actually heard what they said, but hey, what I'm hearing you say is this, and that. So that active listening that we've all been taught, and then make your decision. But, sometimes I think if we go in there too hot and, all right, based on the information in the call, this is what decision I'm going to make, God bless our dispatchers, but sometimes they can't get the full story until we arrive on scene and they hear both sides. And we just got to let people vent. And I think that goes a lot into our de-escalation. It's just letting people just have their peace. My mom said, or my grandma said, just let me have my dime. Let me have my dime. Let me get my piece out, and then whatever it is. And for at least in my personal experience, that's worked wonders for us in our case.
Yeah. So, real quick, going back to family, your kids, do they understand what daddy does? At least your daughter, since she's older?
She does. And, I try to do my best to shield her from a lot of the negativity stuff. I'm really big on my wife and I going out and, honoring folks who've lost their lives in line of duty, because I think for us, that's really important for us to try to come together and support one another. We lost an officer back in 2007. Officer Sergio Carrera is actually my best friend in the world. He was actually going to be, that happened in October of 2007, and in December of 2007, when I got married, he's going to be my best man at my wedding. So even when something like that, prior to that happening, I was part of our honor guard, and I was big on kind of just going out and showing support. But once it hits home, it really changes the optics of when something like that happens. So I don't take my kids to police funerals or anything like that. They're not at that age yet where I think it's really appropriate for them. I mean, they obviously know the dangers and things like that, but I try to do my best to shield them from that. So, because the last thing I want them is to be having this worry, especially working at night. They don't need her up at night worrying, oh my gosh, is dad going to come home tonight type thing. My wife is really good at shielding them from that, just pushing all the positive stuff. When we have police open houses and National Night Out, we're big at taking our kids to that. So, they don't develop this mistrust of police, which I pretty much impossible to have since they got, dad. But I just want them to see that the positive sides of law enforcement. Once they get older, they'll see the not so positive sides, some of the stuff that's comes on the news. That again, when something like that comes on, of course I want to educate myself on what's going on, but I don't let my kids watch that because I don't need them having some sort of worries or anything like that while dad's out doing what he's doing. So
yeah, good stuff. So with 16 years on, how much longer you think you're gonna do?
I'm going to 50. So I'm blessed enough to I got in right at the before California did the Retirement Realignment Act, where I think most of our new officers now are having to go to 57. I got in at 50. So my plan is to go to 50 and maybe go off and maybe do something else. I don't know. Like I said earlier, Maui has been our second home. So the plan is when we retire, we plan on retiring to Hawaii. So we'll see though, things can change, and who knows? Who knows what may happen? I've got 14 more years to go, so we'll see.
Okay, all right. That's what I was going to ask you. How much longer that is? Yeah, there's 14.
Yeah,
14 more.
Yeah, I got 14 more to go.
Yeah, the first 16 flew, right? So
it did. People ask me now how long you've been on, or they'll see me. I got everyone says I got this baby face.
You do.
May compare to everybody in Rialto calls me Officer Kobe. I don't see it. Everyone says I look like Kobe Bryant. I don't see it. But everyone says you're so young, and it must be giving stripes out. How long you been on? I'm like, I've been there 16 years, and people are like, get out of here. You look like you're 21, or type thing. So it's funny just thinking back, like, gosh, yeah, once you really sit back and look at all the things you've done over your career, I just try not to take it for granted, and which is why I'm so excited when I work with these younger guys, because they're young and they're not jaded, and they just happy to be there to put a uniform on and get to work. And it re-energizes me. Like, man, these guys remind me of me when I was brand new, just happy to be out here without an FTO barking in my ear type thing. So
right. Yeah. All right.
We'll see what the next 14 bring.
Yes, sir. All right, Sarge. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us some insight into your life and Rialto and all
Absolutely.
that. So, but before I get out of here, I like to play a game with my guest, and
right.
let me get things set up here for you. All right, so this is a game that I like to play, and I call it
Black or Blue, 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 Black or Blue. Come on!
All right, so this game, as you can hear, is called Black or Blue. I'm going to give you a category. Right. This category today is all things being equal, meaning everything. I'm going to name something for you, describe something for you. You tell me, is the color of that black or is it blue? Real simple, right? Real simple.
Real simple.
All right, here we go. Your first one. First question. This character debuted on a children's program on PBS and is known for his love of a particular dessert.
Blue.
That is correct.
The time has come for this cookie. Nom, 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 nom. Oh, nom, 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 nom.
All right, you see that?
I do. I got it.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we go. All right. Your next one. These bands of rubber are placed over the rim of a wheel to provide traction.
I'll have to go with black.
Absolutely.
Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we are going to learn how to read the sidewall of a tire.
All right. 2 for 2 already. All right, here we go. Next one.
All right.
These animals are known to destroy crops, so farmers scare them off with mannequins stuffed with hay.
I'm going to go with black.
Absolutely.
Crows.
Just as humans are monogamous for the most part, crows too tend to stick with one partner, but they may take it more seriously than we do because pairs often remain together for life.
All right. Next question. Here you go. Next item. This item is used to house correspondence until they are processed by government employees charged with taking them to their destinations.
I'm going to go with blue.
Blue, absolutely. Mailboxes.
All right.
News received
There we go.
multiple
Yeah,
calls
all right.
this weekend from surprised residents who needed an extra minute to figure out how to deposit their mail. A representative from the Postal Service told 22 News the new style boxes are designed to prevent mail phishing.
All right. And you on a roll here. Here we go. Next one.
Yeah. My wife is giving me a look like you better not get nothing wrong.
These things are analog sound storage mediums in the form of flat disc with an inscribed modulated spiral groove.
Oh, that sounds like something that would be black. I'm hoping.
Absolutely.
All right.
So most of us have seen how to handle the record.
Ah, there we go.
You can hold them by the edge,
That's a little bit before
or
my
by the
time,
label.
but I do remember
What about
some of those
touching
around.
it like this?
No, you never want to touch the playable surface of the record. It can really damage your vinyl.
That was before your time, huh?
Yeah, I was born in '82, so cassettes were big. I didn't really have too many vinyl records. My dad, he had a couple lying around.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm dating myself. I'm a DJ off duty, so we'll talk about that off the air. But yeah, I started with vinyl. So here we go. The next one. Two more. Here we go. These small human-like creatures live in a colony of mushroom-shaped houses. The characters have names based on their individual characteristics.
Oh man, those are my boys, the Smurfs.
The Smurfs,
I remember them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you were good, you may just catch a glimpse of the Smurfs.
All right. You have missed none. So last one, bring it home. Here we go. This character lost a battle with his former mentor and was left badly disfigured. As a result, he was outfitted with a mechanical suit that helped him function.
Oh man, I'm taking a guess. I'm gonna go with Black.
Yes, Darth Vader, man.
Darth Vader. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm not a big Star Wars guy. We got that Disney Plus thing going, so we said we're gonna sit down and watch all the Star Wars.
Yeah,
so,
you got it right. So we gonna call you. No, man, yeah, you got them all right. And you even guessed on that last one.
I did.
All right, man. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on. So this was a good time. It was a good time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And like I said, I've been blessed. I got a real good support system at home. So with my wife, she's being shy. She doesn't want to come over, but
that's all right.
It's
what about your kids? Are they available?
They're running around. They're online right now. Doing They got the FaceTime going on with the with their teachers and their classes.
Okay.
So I kind of think back, if this would have happened when you and I were in school, they probably just would have sent us stacks of paper to do because the technology wasn't there. But now it's like this remote learning. They're not skipping a beat.
Yeah, so. That's how we're doing right now on remote. So
absolutely.
Technology. Again, so I thank you, Sarge, for coming on. I appreciate it. You be safe out there in Rialto, and we'll talk soon, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate having me on.
You got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. Episode 21 of the Black and Blue Podcast is in the books. I want to thank my man, Sergeant Lamont Quarker of the Rialto, California Police Department, for joining me and kicking some knowledge here today. I also want to thank you as well. So if you like this episode and all the other ones just like it, you know I got to do the shameless plug. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show on the YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be back next week with another session in the interrogation room here. So till then, y'all know what to do. Stay black and blue. I'm out. Deuces.
This has been a Maitre D' Entertainment presentation.